California is no stranger to wildfires. For decades, the state has battled these devastating blazes, but in recent years, the frequency and intensity of the wildfires have reached terrifying new levels. Wildfires are now a regular part of life in California, and the danger continues to grow. In fact, some of the worst fires in California's history have occurred just in the past few years. And it's not just the scale of the fires that's concerning, it's the fact that they seem to be getting worse, faster, and more unpredictable. Wildfires have always been a part of California's natural landscape, but the fires of today are different. The combination of extreme heat, persistent drought conditions, and changing weather patterns has created a perfect storm for these wildfires to spread uncontrollably. In 2023 alone, thousands of acres of land burned across the state, causing widespread damage and destruction. It's a growing crisis that's forcing entire communities to evacuate and is leaving families to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. Let's break down some of the staggering numbers. In recent years, the state has experienced some of the largest wildfires in its history. Just in 2018, the Camp Fire alone destroyed over 14,000 homes and claimed the lives of 85 people. It was the deadliest wildfire in California's history. Then in 2020, the August Complex Fire became the largest wildfire the state had ever seen, burning over 1 million acres of land. Entire towns were leveled, and the devastation was unlike anything we had seen before. The immediate destruction caused by these fires is overwhelming, but the long-term effects are just as alarming. Not only are these fires taking a massive toll on human life and property, but they're also severely impacting California's environment. Wildfires destroy thousands of acres of forests, habitats, and natural landscapes. With millions of acres of land already scorched, the question is, how much more will burn before we see change? But the problem doesn't end with the destruction of the land. The economic cost is also staggering. Wildfires in California have caused billions of dollars in damages, far more than most people realize. From agricultural losses to businesses forced to close, the financial impact ripples through the economy in ways that aren't immediately visible. The losses affect entire industries, from the wine-growing regions in Napa Valley to small towns in the foothills. And let's not forget the cost of rebuilding, which can take years or even decades, with communities often facing months or years without proper housing. While the numbers are staggering, it's essential to remember that wildfires don't just impact the environment or the economy, they impact real people. These fires change lives in ways that can never be fully measured. Families lose homes, loved ones, and entire communities are uprooted. Survivors are left dealing with the emotional and psychological trauma of having their lives turned upside down. The impact on mental health is profound, and it can last long after the flames have been extinguished. The fear of the unknown, the anxiety of evacuation, and the devastation of loss weigh heavily on those who experience it. As we look at this growing crisis, it's clear that California's wildfire epidemic is not just a seasonal issue. It's a part of a much larger and more complex set of challenges. The fires of today are linked to the changing climate, poor land management practices, and our own human activities. Each fire is a warning sign that we need to take action. The question is, how do we respond before it's too late? As we continue, we'll take a deeper look into what exactly is driving the spread of these fires and what factors are making California's wildfires worse than ever before. Stay tuned to learn more about the causes behind this devastating crisis. The causes of California's wildfire epidemic are multifaceted, and understanding what's behind the intensity and frequency of these fires is crucial if we are to have any hope of controlling them. While wildfires have always been a natural part of California's landscape, several key factors are making these fires more dangerous and harder to fight. One of the primary drivers of this crisis is climate change. As the Earth's temperatures continue to rise, California is experiencing longer, hotter summers and more intense heat waves. Over the past few decades, temperatures have steadily increased, leading to conditions where wildfires can thrive. The combination of higher temperatures and drier weather means that forests and grasslands are more prone to ignition. California's climate is naturally dry in many regions, but with climate change accelerating these conditions, fire seasons are starting earlier and lasting longer. Rising temperatures also contribute to the drying out of vegetation, creating more fuel for wildfires to feed on. This year, for example, California saw record-breaking temperatures in some areas, pushing the limits of the state's fire management strategies. The hotter it gets, the faster the fires spread, with flames consuming everything in their path. Another significant factor is the changing precipitation patterns. California has long been affected by droughts, but these conditions are becoming more severe. Droughts dry up rivers, lakes, and water supplies, and they also dehydrate plants, making them more susceptible to fire. The state has experienced extreme drought years in the past, but in recent years, these droughts have been more intense and longer lasting. Climate change has disrupted the natural water cycle, making it harder to predict when these dry spells will end, leaving California's landscapes more vulnerable to fire. But it's not just the weather. Poor forest management practices have also contributed to the severity of these fires. In the past, controlled burns and other fire management practices helped to clear dry vegetation and prevent catastrophic fires. However, these practices have not been consistently implemented over the years. As a result, forests have become overgrown with vegetation, creating more fuel for fires to spread rapidly. The dense underbrush and dead trees in California's forests have created a perfect environment for massive fires to take hold and become uncontrollable. Another significant factor is human activity. While many wildfires are sparked by natural causes like lightning strikes, a large portion of California's wildfires can be traced back to human actions. In recent years, careless behavior has caused several deadly blazes. For instance, campfires that aren't fully extinguished, discarded cigarettes, or even sparks from vehicles on dry roads have started fires that quickly spiraled out of control. Arson is also a growing problem, with individuals intentionally setting fires for a variety of reasons, sometimes out of malice or for financial gain. These intentional fires are often the hardest to contain and can lead to widespread destruction, as seen in the past with large-scale fires like the Thomas Fire in 2017 and the Kincaid Fire in 2019. The combination of drought, overgrown forests, extreme temperatures, and human activities has created a volatile situation. Each of these factors on its own is concerning, but when they all come together, the results can be catastrophic. Add in the fact that California's population continues to grow, and more people are living in high-risk fire zones, and it's clear that this crisis is not going to get better without significant changes in policy, fire management, and our collective behavior. What's even more alarming is that we are seeing wildfires spread more quickly and more destructively than ever before. The fires of recent years have torn through entire towns, leaving communities with little warning to evacuate. The Butte Fire in 2015 and the Camp Fire in 2018 both highlighted how fast and unpredictable these fires can be. Entire neighborhoods have been wiped off the map, and people have had to abandon their homes and their lives in the face of this growing inferno. In some cases, these fires have moved so quickly that people only had minutes to escape. With no time to grab personal belongings or say goodbye to their homes, the damage caused by these fires is beyond just the immediate destruction. Wildfires release huge amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, worsening global warming and creating a vicious cycle. The destruction of natural habitats also disrupts ecosystems, forcing animals to flee and sometimes leaving them without food or shelter. This ecological damage can take years or even decades to recover, with some species losing critical habitats forever. In the next part, we will take a closer look at some of the most devastating fires in recent history and the aftermath they left behind. These stories highlight the urgency of addressing the wildfire crisis and the profound impact it has on individuals, families, and entire communities. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the aftermath of California's raging fires. As the fires rage across California, it's not just the flames that leave lasting damage, it's the aftermath. The toll of these wildfires on people's lives, the economy, and the environment is immense and often irreversible. While the flames themselves are terrifying, the emotional and long-term consequences of losing homes, loved ones, and communities can be just as devastating. One of the most striking consequences of California's wildfire crisis is the human impact. Thousands of families have been displaced with no place to call home. When fires like the Camp Fire in 2018 hit, entire neighborhoods were destroyed. For the people of Paradise, California, the devastation was particularly heartbreaking. The Camp Fire was the deadliest wildfire in the state's history, claiming the lives of 85 people and reducing the town of Paradise to rubble. The survivors were left not only with the loss of their homes, but also the loss of their community and support systems. In the immediate aftermath of such catastrophic events, people are forced to leave behind their memories, their homes, and their lives as they knew them. The psychological toll of losing everything in a fire is staggering. The trauma of evacuation, the uncertainty of what the future holds, and the constant fear of more fires create a psychological burden that lingers long after the flames are out. The process of rebuilding isn't just about physical structures. It's about repairing the emotional wounds of people who've lost everything. Moreover, the economic impact of these wildfires is crushing. In addition to the physical destruction of homes and businesses, wildfires also disrupt entire industries, costing billions of dollars in damages. Agriculture, which is a key part of California's economy, is particularly vulnerable. Fires destroy crops, disrupt the harvest season, and damage irrigation systems, leading to massive financial losses. In the wine country of Napa Valley, for example, fires like the Tubbs. Fire in 2017 not only destroyed homes, but also devastated vineyards, causing long-term financial damage to the region. Businesses in affected areas face steep challenges in recovering. Many are forced to close their doors permanently, while others struggle to reopen, burdened with costly repairs, lost customers, and ongoing health and safety risks. With fires becoming more frequent and severe, it's increasingly difficult for communities to recover fully. The damage is not only financial, but also emotional, as people are forced to leave behind the places they've built their lives. The environmental consequences of wildfires are just as severe. When wildfires burn, they do more than destroy homes and infrastructure. They also damage ecosystems that may never fully recover. Wildfires release large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which contributes to global warming. In fact, in some extreme cases, a single wildfire can produce more carbon emissions than an entire country's annual output. The wildfire season is now a major contributor to California's carbon footprint, exacerbating the very climate conditions that fueled the fire in the first place. Furthermore, wildfires have a profound effect on local wildlife. As fires tear through forests and grasslands, they destroy animal habitats, displacing or killing countless creatures. The Sierra Nevada region, home to rare species like the Sierra Nevada bighorn sheep, is particularly vulnerable. These animals rely on the forests for shelter, food, and breeding grounds. When their habitats are destroyed by fires, their survival is put at risk. Some species may be pushed to the brink of extinction as their natural homes disappear. The loss of vegetation and trees also leads to soil erosion, which can further damage the landscape. Without trees to anchor the soil, the ground becomes loose and more prone to erosion. Especially after rain, this can lead to devastating mudslides, which can flood already vulnerable areas, making recovery even harder. The fire-ravaged hills of California are at particular risk, as fire scars create conditions where heavy rains can lead to mudflows that destroy homes, roads, and vital infrastructure. Water quality is also threatened by wildfires. As fire destroys the land, the ash and debris flow into rivers and streams, contaminating water supplies. This can affect everything from drinking water to agricultural irrigation. The long-term environmental damage caused by these fires can take years to reverse, and some areas may never fully recover. Wildfires also disrupt wildlife migration and force animals to flee to other areas, putting pressure on ecosystems that are already under strain. These environmental impacts are not just immediate, they affect California's future. As wildfires become more frequent, it's clear that the state's ecosystems will continue to bear the brunt of the destruction. Rebuilding these areas, both ecologically and economically, will be a long and difficult process. Next, we will explore the efforts being made to tackle California's wildfire crisis. From firefighting strategies to climate policy, we'll take a closer look at the steps being taken to address this urgent issue. California's wildfire crisis is an urgent challenge, but it's not without efforts to fight back. While the fires continue to ravage communities, resources and strategies are being deployed to reduce the frequency, severity, and damage of these catastrophic events. The problem is complex, but there are critical steps being taken to address the situation from multiple angles, including fire prevention, firefighting, and long-term policy changes. One major area of focus is fire prevention. In the past, California's fire strategy primarily focused on firefighting efforts once fires had already started. However, experts have increasingly emphasized the importance of preventing fires before they spread out of control. Controlled burns, or prescribed burns, are one of the most effective tools in reducing wildfire risk. These burns are intentionally set under controlled conditions to reduce the amount of fuel, such as dry brush, that could contribute to a larger, more dangerous fire. Although controlled burns have been used for centuries, their implementation has been inconsistent, and many expertise argue that more extensive and frequent use of this technique is crucial. Alongside this, forest management practices have been reevaluated. California's forests have suffered from decades of neglect, and poor management, leading to overgrown trees, dead vegetation, and dry conditions. By thinning out dense forests, removing dead trees, and restoring healthy ecosystems, the risk of large uncontrollable fires can be reduced. In recent years, both the state and federal governments have begun investing in forest restoration projects, but much more needs to be done to manage the millions of acres of land that are at risk. A critical aspect of California's wildfire response is the firefighting efforts. The state has a robust network of firefighters, both professional and volunteer, who fight fires on the front lines. However, the increasing intensity and frequency of fires in recent years has stretched these resources to the limit. In response, California has been increasing its investment in firefighting technology, from aerial firefighting units such as helicopters and planes to more advanced fire suppression systems. These air resources can drop water or fire retardant to slow the fire's spread and give ground crews more time to control the flames. Additionally, California has also sought to improve its firefighting coordination. Wildfires don't respect state lines, and in many cases, fires have spread across counties and even into neighboring states. By improving communication and collaboration between local, state, and federal agencies, response times can be faster and more resources can be allocated to areas in desperate need. This coordination extends to mutual aid agreements, which allow fire departments from different areas to assist each other during major disasters. Technology has become a vital tool in California's battle against wildfires. Innovations like drones, satellite imagery, and artificial intelligence have been used to detect fires early, monitor fire behavior, and predict how fires will spread. The use of real-time data helps firefighters make better decisions on where to focus their efforts and how to protect lives and property. In particular, early warning systems have been improved, allowing residents to receive evacuation notices and alerts sooner. The state has also invested in fire mapping tools to predict where fires are most likely to strike, based on weather patterns, land conditions, and past fire history. Climate change mitigation also plays a major role in California's efforts to curb the wildfire crisis. As we've seen, rising temperatures, prolonged droughts, and changing weather patterns have created the perfect conditions for wildfires. To combat this, the state has made significant strides toward reducing greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning to renewable energy sources. California's climate change policies include goals to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050 and increase the use of clean energy across the state. By addressing the root cause of changing weather conditions, California aims to reduce the frequency of extreme conditions that contribute to wildfires. Community preparedness is another key component of the state's strategy. California has ramped up efforts to educate the public about fire safety, evacuation plans, and the importance of creating defensible spaces around homes. Fire-resistant materials and building codes are also being updated to ensure new construction is more resilient to fires. In some areas, fire-resistant landscaping and the clearing of dead vegetation around properties are now mandatory to reduce the risk of fires spreading to homes. Despite all of these efforts, it's clear that California cannot solve this crisis overnight. Long-term recovery and preparation are essential. Rebuilding communities after fires is a lengthy process, and there's still much work to do in terms of restoring habitats, ecosystems, and the mental well-being of those who've lost so much. Moreover, the constant threat of future wildfires looms large. California must remain vigilant, adaptive, and proactive in its approach. However, there is hope. Communities in fire-ravaged areas are coming together to rebuild, stronger than before. There's a growing recognition that while wildfires will continue to be a part of California's landscape, we can reduce their impact and ultimately learn to live with them. By combining fire prevention, smarter forest management, improved firefighting efforts, climate change mitigation, and community preparedness, California can move toward a safer, more resilient future. This crisis is a reminder of how fragile our environment is and how important it is to take action. The wildfires of the last few years have shown us the devastating effects of climate change and poor management, but they've also highlighted the incredible strength and resilience of the people of California. The battle against wildfires is ongoing, but with continued effort and innovation, there is hope for a future where California's wildfires become less destructive and the communities they threaten can thrive once again. Thanks for watching. Let's continue this conversation. If you have thoughts on California's wildfire crisis, feel free to share them in the comments. and don't forget to subscribe for more discussions on environmental challenges and their impacts on our world.